Grace Period, brought to you by the 2014 Corolla. It's Corolla like you've never seen it before. And during Toyota Red Tag Days, now is the time to experience one for yourself.
Rogers Arena in Vancouver, where the Canucks look to follow up their second win against a California team this season with their third. After beating the Kings, they look to take out the Ducks. Starting goalies brought to you by Tim Hortons, official coffee of the NHL. The first ever NHL appearance for 20-year-old John Gibson. Pittsburgh native, strong season in the AHL. Gets the call with Jonas Hiller having played last night and Anderson out. And a record-tying start for Eddie Lack, 19th in a row, matching the club mark for a rookie set by Corey Hirsch in 1996. Saku Koivu didn't play last night in Edmonton, but he gets the puck in. Early breakaway. Andrew Cogliano stopped by Lack, and a rebound taken away by Brad Richardson. Cogliano in alone, but it stays scoreless, and now a shot by Robida goes wide of the goal. Brad Richardson trying to settle things down will lift the puck off the glass and out. Lucas Sbisa, who ended a long goal drought when the Ducks were here a week ago Saturday, his first of the season, was his first in 42 games. He makes a pass to the side, puck sent in on Lack, he'll take the whistle.
Good idea.
No kidding.
Take that whistle. Regroup. Give up a clean breakaway. The first minute, Andrew Cogliano goes right around Jason Garrison. You can see Garrison looking down at his feet, watching the puck instead of the man, but Eddie Lack's concentrating on the puck, and Cogliano couldn't get it up and over.
Andrew Cogliano's never missed a game in his NHL career. And almost had a fantastic start to this one. Edler plays the puck to center. Chris Higgins after it. Now Kessler bats the puck forward. Hampus Lindholm turning. Checked by Jannik Hansen, who was tireless in his effort 2 nights ago against Los Angeles and looking to duplicate that here tonight. Here's Kessler in with a wrist shot wide of the goal. Goes after his own rebound. Tried to put it in front. That was blocked by Francois Beauchemin. Corey Perry comes back for the puck, tips it to the far corner. Hansen goes after it there. Tried to pass back. That was intercepted. And the puck is dumped out by Matt Bolesky. Getzlaf couldn't trap it. Edler sends it the other way. And Lindholm takes control, banking the puck forward to Getzlaf. Tried to pass for Patrick Maroon had come off the bench. That's broken up, and Edler takes control for Vancouver. To Kevin Bieksa, back to Edler, who had a goal and an assist against the Kings. Just his second multi-point effort of the season. Daniel Sedin stripped of the puck by Teemu Selanne. Henrik Sedin winds up with it, pass in the middle. Here's Bieksa softly ahead for Nicholas Jensen. He's in over the Anaheim line on the left wing with a wrist shot off the stick of Ben Lovejoy and over top of the net. Daniel tried to feed Yannick Weber at the blue line. That was bouncing puck that had to come out. And Canucks shoot it back in and try to go to work on the forecheck. Weber back in the lineup, missed one game. Frank Corrado subbed in for him against Los Angeles. But back in and paired on defense with Ryan Stanton, who has the puck at his own line, feeds back for Weber, who will have to chase for that one in the corner. No score, 2.5 minutes in. Sbisa having some trouble. Burrows forces the puck in on the right wing. Now into the corner. Sean Matthias is there. Daniel Winnick moves to check him, gets the puck to the line, not out, held in by Jason Garrison. Matthias from behind the goal. Puck knocked away from him, and here comes Kyle Palmieri for Anaheim. 3 Ducks through center. Palmieri poke check by Hamhuis, and back comes Matthias with the puck over the Anaheim line. Took on 3 Ducks, lost it to Winnick, who passes back into his own zone. Canucks changing, and onto the ice comes the Richardson, Cassian Booth trio once again. 3 minutes into the first, Jakob Silverberg with a pass at center. Cogliano takes it on the ricochet, moves in on the left side. Stops to get away from Booth. Back to the line. Glove save by Eddie Lack on a one-timer from Beauchemin.
Good save by Eddie Lack as Beauchemin stepped into that one. Traffic in front. Jakob Silverberg, and I wonder if Silverberg had words with Eddie after this one. Bumps into him a little bit. Eddie was able to find it. Like they had a little conversation after that save.
Here's Cogliano, path to the middle. He overskated the puck. What a great chance for him. Weber complaining to the official as the play moves up the ice. Lindholm is back for the puck in his own zone. Trying to bank it ahead. That's blocked. And here's Zach Kassian. Beauchemin moves to check in. Pass comes to David Booth. Leaves for Kassian. Looking for someone to pass to. Finds Stanton, who one-timed a shot wide of the goal. Now Weber trying to get one behind the goal. Booth is there. 4 Canucks below the goal line. Richardson passes to the blue line. Stanton with a shot. Weber swung around and took a swipe of the puck but couldn't make contact. Just about 4 minutes in, no score. Chris Higgins chasing after Lucas Spiza, who passes around to Stefan Robida. He was hit by Kessler, intercepting his Edler, cutting in front. And Kessler got a piece of that puck and put it just wide of the goal. Now Higgins across for Edler, looking in front. Hard pass is off the stick of Kessler, and the puck ricochets out to center ice. Kevin Bieksa passes to Edler, rink wide for Hansen, who drives the puck into Anaheim territory. Chris Higgins playing his 600th career game. Forces the puck deep into the Anaheim zone. Kessler gets it in the right wing corner. Bank pass, Bieksa, one-timer, stopped by Gibson. Rebound off the outside of the post as Higgins had a chance to open the scoring. Second shot for the Canucks, the point test from Bieksa, who's now been shaken up a little bit. Bieksa heading to the bench. Don't know if the puck hit him.
Puck did hit him on the left instep.
So he heads off in a little bit of pain as the puck is played back into Vancouver territory. Edler dumps it around for Jason Garrison, and a pass ahead to Henrik Sedin tips the puck to Daniel. Stops on the left wing. Daniel looking in front, trying to find Jensen going to the net. Broken up by Lovejoy, and the Reverend passes ahead to Kyle Palmieri, who gets the puck out. You watch The Simpsons, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Daniel Sedin with a centering pass, and Jensen couldn't quite find the angles. He went hard to the crease. It's better than Saturday when they were here. I was working on radio, and I somehow called him Jen Loveboy. Kyle Palmieri brings the puck out and dumps it around to the Vancouver zone. 5.5 minutes in, no score. Decent pace, and the Canucks territorially having the edge in play in the last couple of minutes.
I know you're dyslexic. You don't believe in dog.
Matthias dumps the puck in. Tom Sestito trying to come up with it. Alex Burrows, who finished last game on this line, starts on it here. Here's Matthias with a shot wide of the goal. Burrows' dump will be a penalty to Lindholm. And the Canucks get the first power play of the hockey game when we come back. Man advantage Vancouver as Lindholm heads off in a scoreless game on Sportsnet.
Canucks have had a territorial advantage. Ryan Kessler, a nice job along the boards. Back to Kevin Bieksa. The shot through, saved by Gibson, and Chris Higgins just can't get it to go. Off the instep of Kevin Bieksa's left foot, and you can see him grimace in pain. And Nicholas Jensen just can't get the angle of his stick. It's sand wedges up into the glass. And there's a case of mistaken identity. Francois Beauchemin took him down, and Lindholm is the guy that gets put in the penalty box.
Canucks scored once on the power play Saturday. That was the Edler goal. He's got the puck, wristing it, stopped by Gibson, taken away by Beauchemin. Gets the puck to Nick Bonino, and he's able to dump it down the ice. Eddie Lack out of his net, passes to Kevin Bieksa, who lays for Alex Edler, ahead to Henrik Sedin. Winnick steals the puck, cutting it on goal, short-handed, scores! A turnover by the Canuck captain, and Daniel Winnick opens the scoring. 6.5 minutes in.
That's where I used to be screaming in goal, last man, last man, last man, last man. And then you can't try and slide it through the guy's skates, and that's what Henrik Sedin tried to do. And being the last man, you've got nobody. There's Alex Edler to Henrik, and Henrik tries to slide it back through the guy's skates. Winnick takes it, and what a great shot by Winnick. Up under the bar. And that's 2 breakaways in the first 6 minutes of this game. Winnick posting in.
9th shorthanded goal of the season for the Ducks, 2nd for Daniel Winnick, the 4th surrendered by Vancouver. And John Tortorella takes that power play unit off the ice, puts Kassian, Jensen, and Burrows out there, along with Weber and Jason Garrison. Here's Kassian moving in. He loses the puck at the blue line. There to help him out is Yannick Weber.
That's it, you're not the last man. You had 2 defensemen behind you when you try and go through the guy's
Now, would you be yelling that? You're not the last man!
No. That sense of panic doesn't possess you.
Here's another turnover and a chance for an odd man break. Now it's a 2-on-2 as Saku Koivu moves in. Wrist shot and a stick save by Eddie Lack. Canuck power play. You heard John Tortorella talk about momentum this morning. It's been a momentum killer in this one so far. Here's Cassian putting one in front, loose in the crease, off the post, and Burrows and Jensen unable to jam it in. Edler at the blue line. 30 seconds to go in the power play. Edler again. Weber with a one-timer, left pad saved by Gibson, and the puck is dumped down the ice by Lovejoy.
I think that hit Alex Burrows in front.
20.
The goal for Winnick was his 6th of the season. Remember, got off to such a hot start last year. Here's Edler with a long shot. That hit a body in front. Maybe Spiza, who was fronting Ryan Kessler. Henrik Sedin across. Edler hit the post. Edler again. Penalty's over. Pass across. Bieksa tips the puck down for Henrik Sedin. Goal line feed Kessler. Ryan Kessler leaves for Henrik. Daniel goes to the front. Henrik fighting off the check of Spiza. Leaves the puck behind the goal. Here's Daniel Sedin trying to get it through to either Kessler or Bieksa, and that was broken up. Canucks keep possession of the puck. Centering pass. Kessler. That went off the stick of Lindholm and wide of the goal. Now another long shot from Edler, and that's swallowed up by Gibson. And he'll take the whistle. Canucks gave up the shorthanded goal, then had a couple of chances in the last few moments.
Well, had a couple of great chances with the man advantage thrown in front. It's off the Alex Burrows skate, off another skate, Spiza's skate, off the post, stayed out. It's Lovejoy. It's off Lovejoy's skate, and then he grabbed it.
In the crease.
He didn't get called. And then Alex Edler, who has figured out the power play, got one against Los Angeles, same kind of play, backdoor, in tight, one-timer, and just couldn't get it on the right side of the post.
Richardson waved out. Chris Higgins will move in to take this face-off against Ryan Getzlaf. 8.5 minutes in, 1-0 Anaheim on the 6th of the year for Winnick. Canucks win the draw. Dan Hamhuis wrists one. That was blocked in front by Getzlaf. Higgins after the puck. Comes up with it. Passes to Richardson. His shot hit Corey Perry. And the Ducks, Getzlaf gets the puck ahead to Maroon. He relays to Perry, who sends the puck into Vancouver territory. Maroon with a hit on Garrison, but he took the hit to make the play, and the Canucks break out. Hamhuis up for Higgins. Had to turn to try to take that pass and couldn't quite execute. Lindholm up the boards. Getzlaf ahead to Maroon. Crisscrossing with Perry, who takes the drop pass. Corey Perry trying to get around Garrison, who forced him in behind the goal. Higgins comes up with the puck in the corner. 203 of his 600 career games played here with Vancouver. Higgins moves through center. Leaves for David Booth. Booth cuts the middle. His shot stopped by Gibson, who looked behind him. And Higgins just unable to get to the rebound. Shots now 5 apiece, but the Ducks have the opening goal shorthanded. Getzlaf settles the puck and rolls it back to Brian Allen. He spent a lot of time here in Vancouver, 216 games as a Canuck, and Allen's in on the left wing. Leaves for Bolesky. Long shot handled easily by Eddie Lack, and he stops play for a face-off in the Vancouver zone.
John Gibson has looked a little awkward on a few plays. Here's another one. David Booth. Shot tipped. And Gibson's almost turned sideways, but still able to make the save. Then Lovejoy. Now, this is a hard call for the referee. He's on the other side. But Lovejoy definitely grabs it with his hand in the crease and takes it out of danger.
Helped out by the net. Blocking the view, no doubt. Matthew Perreault moves into the Vancouver zone. Bolesky took the drop pass. Solani following up. Stop by Eddie Lack, who did well to track that pinballing puck. You figure Solani 91 points in 77 games against the Canucks. Well, he must have piled them up early. Remember last year at the age of 42, opening night had a 4-point game here. The third oldest to register 4 points in a game behind Gordie Howe and Tim Horton. And then he had a 3-point effort back in January at the age of 43 against the Canucks. Enough Solani talk. Here's Murray.
Yeah, finally a chance to say, don't forget to play Safeway's $1 million score and win. If any Vancouver player scores 5 goals in tonight's game, Ann Wood of Cranbrook could win $1 million. Good luck.
Anaheim got off to such a great start last year, as you mentioned, but this year too, 15-3-1 in their first 19 games.
Kevin Bieksa, a little more time than he was expecting, puts one in front. Bonino knocks it to the line, held in by Edler. He's got room to cut in front. Centering pass knocked away. Bieksa holds the line. Down for Daniel Sedin, who dummied the puck through for Henrik. Centering pass, Jensen there, couldn't get his stick on it. Daniel Sedin gets it in the corner. Takes the pass from Henrik, now behind the net, Daniel. Beaten to the puck by Allen. Another stanchion that didn't go Kevin Bieksa's way. That's 2 this season. But Henrik's back in on the left wing. Centering, Daniel just tipped it wide. 9 minutes to go in the first. 1-0 Ducks, and the goal scorer, Winnick, plays the puck into the Vancouver zone. Edler to Bieksa, and out comes Vancouver. Henrik Sedin to Jensen on his right. Throws on the brakes, looks back, hand Hughes, slap shot, left pad saved by Gibson, and then got chopped in the mask by the stick of Daniel Sedin. That went undetected. Nice save for the screen of Daniel, who then chopped the goalie in the head. Ducks trying to set up a chance. Cogliano, pass intercepted by Richardson. He gets it ahead to David Booth. Couldn't move the puck out of his zone, lost it at the blue line. Booth will try again. This time he's able to kick the puck to neutral ice. Stefan Robida moves back in, being hooked by Zach Kassian. Able to play the puck to the end boards. Cogliano there throws a hit on Hughes, but Kassian has the puck. To Richardson. And ahead to Booth. Kassian's open in the middle. There's the pass. In on goal. He shoots wide. Kassian had to take it off his skate. Still got a pretty good opportunity, but missed the net. Under 8 minutes to go in the first. And it's the Ducks' turn to break the center, but that pass hit his skate. And Kassian has the puck once more at the end of his shift. He'll find Richardson, who wants off. Dumps the puck in as he's hit by Perry and heads to the bench. Jason Garrison intercepts. And then hands the puck back to Getzlaf. It's through to Higgins, checked by Bolesky. Ryan Kessler takes control. Couldn't get the puck all the way in. Lindholm. Getzlaf in with a wrist shot, and that ticked off Edler's stick and wide of the... My mic is going in and out here, I think, John, but the Ducks have the puck. Lovejoy was setting up for a one-timer, poked away before he hit his stick on the puck.
You're sounding all right.
Okay, good. It might just be my headset, or it might just be my head. Here's Higgins in on the left wing. Edler couldn't corral the puck cleanly. He was hoping to pass it across to Ryan Kessler. Now Bieksa holds the puck into the left point. Higgins tries to center. Getzlaf takes it away and passes ahead to Maroon. Continuous action here. First period with the visitors leading by 1. Here's a shot by Lovejoy, and Eddie Lack squared himself and challenged to make the save. Ducks hold the puck in the Vancouver zone. Solani turning on Alex Burrows. Behind the net to Maroon. Puck knocked away by Stanton, but Solani's onto it again. Perreault gets away from Bieksa. Back to Spiza, long shot, and that hit his stick and bounced wide of the Vancouver goal. Stanton's lost his stick. Puck comes to the blue line, held in by Maroon, who bounces one. Eddie Lack had to be careful of that, stopping it on the short hop. And he'll cover up, get the whistle. Ducks have the shorthanded goal. Daniel Sedin may be lucky he didn't get a penalty for this one. Inadvertent or not, he got a pretty good piece of the young goalie, John Gibson.
Canucks Year in Review, Monday, 7:30. We'll break down the season that was for the Canucks. Connected Canucks Year in Review. We'll look at everything from top to bottom in the organization. What went wrong, what went right, who stays, and who should go. Don Taylor, James Cybulski host this half-hour special with insight from Garrett, Falk, and Shorthouse. Canucks Year in Review, Monday, 7:30 on Sportsnet.
Couldn't believe it. I've never been asked to be on a panel.
Yes.
Got so much pent-up stuff I need to... Chance at the side, Palmieri jamming. Eddie Lack able to hold that one up. Don't shake your head like that.
I am not.
You're always twisting my words around.
It's your radio partner who says, oh, well, did you play the game? Dave Tomlinson?
I always like to say I had one less NHL shutout than you did. Here's Palmieri. I also had one less NHL goal than Tomlinson did. Here's Burrows moving in. Trying to work his way down the right side. Checked by Beauchemin. Burrows reunited with the Twins for the moment here as he's at the end of his shift. Henrik Sedin had his stick slashed and broken, and he complains as he goes to the bench to grab a new one. Patty O'Neill has it for him as Cogliano moves in. In around for Koivu. Pass to the side, Silverberg. Finds some room along the wall. Now passes back neatly. Lindholm fakes the shot. Cuts wide with a wrister blocked by Jensen. And here come the Sedins. Henrik in on the right wing. Daniel going to the net. Henrik pulled down by Koivu. And there'll be another Anaheim penalty. Canucks will hope for a better power play this time when we come back trailing by a goal on a shorthanded tally.
Of appreciation for your support this season. The Canucks are giving away a Canucks prize pack every day from today until Friday, April the 11th. Visit Canucks.com/fan or go to the Canucks team store on Robson Street to enter.
Most of the time.
Saku Koivu trailing Henrik Sedin. Good sign, Henrik. Good speed here. Starts to drive. Koivu the hook there. And the second one, Henrik goes down. He should have got called for the first one. The second one wasn't as bad as the first one.
Maybe went down a little easy.
Yes, I think he went down a little easy on the second one.
Results in a Vancouver power play. Canucks 0 for 1, and it was Winnick who's watching Henrik Sedin, who scored the shorthanded goal after stripping the puck away from the Canuck captain. Here comes Henrik to center. Up the left wing, Daniel steps in, drops for Edler, right point, Bieksa. Edler in the middle, Bieksa again with room. Leaves for Henrik Sedin. Henrik works his way to the corner. Blue line feed, Bieksa. Daniel Sedin. Now to Bieksa again, fakes the shot. Fans hollering for one. Daniel Sedin tried to get one on goal. Puck goes high in the air, go up to the side of the net. Henrik gets it behind the goal. Daniel to Bieksa, one-timer, and a hit Bonino comes up on the limp, but he also comes up with the puck and is able to make the play off the boards and down the ice. Both teams changing personnel, just under a minute to go on the man advantage. Under 4 minutes left, first period, Anaheim leading 1-0. Edler, pass for Kassian. That didn't work. Edler will head to the bench, replaced by Garrison, who comes out to join Yannick Weber. Here comes Weber. Pass to Kassian. Can't get the puck past Brian Allen, and again, it's cleared down the ice by Anaheim. Canucks without a shot on this power play, and there's only 20 seconds remaining. Zach Kassian up the left wing. Higgins moves in. Sends one through for Jensen, broken up by Corey Perry, and he sends the puck down the ice. Garrison gets the pass through. Penalties over. Canucks are 0 for 2. Burrows moves in. Offside, they say.
The little things they have to do on the power play, and the Canucks power play has been dismal most of the season. But here's a pass, Alex Edler to Zach Kassian. It's about a 20-footer. And it's in the skates of Kassian, so he can't handle it. It's off the skates, and there goes the play. You're on the rush. Just make the simple, good passes, and that's part of the Canucks' problem on the power play. They just haven't been executing.
2:15s on the face-off. Getzlaf wins it. Robida ahead to Perry, who tried to tip the puck in, and that sails into the seats.
This period brought to you by the 2014 Corolla. It's Corolla like you've never seen it before. And during Toyota Red Tag Days, now is the time to experience one for yourself.
Puck dropped right at center ice. This time it's the Canucks who gain control, and Kevin Bieksa plays it into the Anaheim zone. Hard hit in the corner. Robida and Richardson. Richardson comes up swinging. He's going after Robida. Corner to the left of Gibson. There'll be a penalty to Brad Richardson. Ducks get the goalie to the bench, and they move in with the puck. Perry. Back to Getzlaf. Puts one in front, tipped wide by Perreault. 6 skaters for Anaheim, and now Richardson, who's going to get the penalty, collects the puck. He didn't like the first hit. He came back with some frontier justice and will serve some time for it.
Stefan Robida, you have to be aware of guys on the ice. And Robida is a noted hitter. That might have been an elbow, and that's what Richardson didn't like. And you can see he's trying to get Robida to engage, and Robida realizes that Richardson's getting the penalty. Could have been called elbowing, wasn't. And the referee was right there.
Roughing call against Richardson. And in this season series, Putting the Ducks on the power play is like playing with fire. Ducks 8 for 21 against the Canucks, including a 6 for 11 performance back in January, 38.1%. But here's a shorthanded chance. Ryan Kesler in alone. Kesler stripped with a puck by Lindholm, who lifted his stick and knocked it away. Lindholm made the mistake in the first place. Puck got by him in the Vancouver blue line, but he hustled back to make the defensive play, and Kesler never got a shot. The exit takes a healthy run at Maroon, but the Ducks have the puck. Getzlaf, wrist shot, that went off Jannik Hansen and wide.
Look out.
Another chance for the Canucks to break out, but Matthias couldn't get the bank pass through to Hansen. Perreault takes control of the neutral zone. Minutes to go on the power play. Minute 15 remaining in the first period. Anaheim leads 1-0, and Selanne has the puck. Teemu Selanne picks up speed through center off the right wing for Getzlaf, broken up by Edler, who sends the puck the other way. Teemu Selanne hoping for a pass at center, didn't come to him. Third all-time in power play goals is Selanne, behind only Dave Andreychuk and Brett Hull. 30 seconds to go in this man advantage. Sedin's out in a penalty killing role. As Beauchemin goes back for the puck. Here's Bonino in. Selanne stepped into by Handhus. Puck, look out, again out of play as it went off the glass and into the seats for a face-off in the Vancouver zone.
If you want one tire that can handle it all, forget all seasons. You need Nokian's WRG3 all-weather tire, imported to Canada by Cal Tire.
Ducks haven't had much on this power play. Haven't had a shot, in fact, just like the Canucks on their last man advantage. Didn't test John Gibson.
And like the Canucks, gave up a breakaway. Ryan Kesler couldn't protect the puck. Stripped on the way in.
He's out for this face-off against Saku Koivu. And Koivu able to get the puck back to Beauchemin. Long shot, loose in front. Silfverberg takes a crack at it, so does Koivu. Still in skates. Cogliano stopped by Lack. Again, tracking the puck, shuffling to his right and able to make the save.
Well, good patience by Eddie Lack. You don't commit to that original shot. Eddie Lack waiting, lose the draw, and now Lack. Okay, don't commit. Still there, don't commit. And that's why he's able to stop Cogliano, because he kept his shuffle available. They didn't commit to that original shot.
Cogliano gets the puck to Beauchemin. Penalty comes to an end as Beauchemin's shot is blocked. That Cogliano chance, the only shot of the power play for the Ducks. 5 seconds to go in the period. And it'll end with Anaheim leading by 1. Silfverberg and Kesler having words on the horn. But it was a shorthanded goal from Daniel Winnick on a turnover by Henrik Sedin that produced the only offense of the opening period. Eddie Lack faced 11 Anaheim shots, stopped 10 of them, and Canucks managed 6 at John Gibson at the other end of the ice. We'll hear from Alex Burrows in our first intermission. He'll be in conversation with Joey Kenward momentarily, and the panel is back. Joining Dan Murphy, Ian McIntyre of the Sun, and ex-Canuck goalie Alex Auld. We're through 1. Ducks lead at 1-0. Came back from a 1-0 deficit on Saturday against the Kings. Of course, had to do that in the third period. They got 2 periods to work with in this one as we get underway in the middle frame. Hampus Lindholm back in his own zone, dumps the puck around. It's kicked out by Koivu, and Dan Handhus picks the puck up at his own blue line. Handhus delays, gets the pass through on the second attempt to David Booth. In around for Richardson. Took a hit there from Koivu. Garrison holds the puck in at the right point. Passing. Had it knocked away by Koivu and back down to the Vancouver line. And he's being pressured by Cogliano. Shovels the puck across to Jason Garrison. He didn't like what he saw either, so he'll return the puck to Handhus, who throws it ahead for Kassian. Didn't make contact, and this will be icing against the Canucks. Just under a minute in to the second. Here's Murph.
John, now it's time to live the game with the new windows. Roberto Luongo was radio silent when it came to Twitter for quite some time, but last night came up with the beauty after helping the Panthers defeat the Dallas Stars. You're welcome, Van Canucks. Glad I could help. Still on the payroll, 15%. A lot of retweets there, Shorty. You were like one of them.
Live the game with new windows. One device for everything in your life. So we got Sportsnet Murph and Sportsnet Murph.
Yes.
So confusing. Robey up. Centering pass knocked away by Hamhuis. Canucks want to change it after the icing. Richardson will try to facilitate it by lifting one high into the Anaheim zone. That's right on goaltender Gibson, so Vancouver's able to make substitutions. Although Garrison didn't get off the ice. Still out there as Edler has come on to replace Hamhuis. Edler winds up with the puck. Being watched by Matt Bolesky. The Ducks have made some adjustments here in the second, but the Canucks have had a whale of a time just in the opening couple of minutes moving the puck out of their own zone.
And now Jason Garrison's still out there.
So a minute 45 for him to start period number 2.
Bruce Boudreau looking on, and people were talking about nobody really wants to play the LA Kings, but especially the coaches, but the players don't seem to care. They'll get home ice, the Ducks, even if they finish second against Los Angeles, who is almost guaranteed third.
Consecutive losses for the Ducks to Nashville and Edmonton coming into this one at a time when you would think they'd be trying to lock down the division.
Well, they play San Jose Wednesday. Everybody's looking forward to that game.
Edler trying to hold the puck in. Maroon tips it away, and here come the Ducks. Perreault in on the left wing. Offside with Solani as he came down the right side trying to go to the net.
He doesn't like the call. He's talking to the linesman about it now. Bruce Boudreau doesn't like the call either. He's looking on. And hey, you look at Bruce Boudreau's teams, and they always score goals. He was a great offensive player himself, and his teams in Washington, his team in Anaheim, 251 goals. The Canucks have 187. Almost a goal a game difference. And when they lead after the first period, their record naturally is great because they can score goals. They've scored first 31 times this season.
Another icing call. Third of the period for the Canucks. We're only 2 minutes and 17 seconds in. And a bit of a sluggish start for John Tortorella's team here in the second.
Scratching his head, I can see why.
Ryan Stanton off the drop. Here's the puck in the blue line. There's a shot from the side. Black handles it. Palmieri testing him, and he'll hang on for the whistle.
And now, Canucks looking on, and Eddie Lack needs some equipment adjustment.
I had a great April Fool's idea this year. If the season had been going better, and if I could have talked John Tortorella into it, you know they do the mom's trips and the dad's trips and the brothers, the siblings trips. I was going to do a prank that John Tortorella was planning a dog's trip. The players could bring their dogs.
Yes, and people would believe that because he is such an animal advocate.
But the season was just going so sideways
Simon,
at the time.
You and Simon, you'd want Murph to give up his seat so Simon can sit beside you on the plane.
Would have been a good gag, though.
Of course, Murph would want to bring his
would have brought
dog.
Boomer. The gag would have continued that anybody without a dog wasn't allowed to dress. Here's Henrik Sedin through center. Putting one in front. Puck deflection to Hamhuis, who tried a shot. That went off his stick and wide. Ducks try to get the puck out. Jensen holds it in. Now it's played to the side for Palmieri. And he's able to get through center and chop the puck in behind the Canuck goal. Henrik Sedin, dangerous pass attempt. That put his team in some trouble. Here's Winnick, taken down by Henrik, and play goes on. Now Henrik Sedin tries a long pass for Daniel. That's deflected away. Puck goes deep into the Anaheim zone. Emmerich had a couple careless plays in his own end. One ended up in a goal for Anaheim. Now a lead pass for Cogliano, who had a breakaway in the game's opening seconds. Couldn't convert that one and couldn't knock the pass down this time. But he puts the puck in front for Silverberg, who goes round the net, out the near side, passes back. Brian Allen, long shot, and that hit a skate and went over the glass in the corner to the left of Eddie Lack. Face-off upcoming in the Vancouver zone. In the meantime, we can tell you about Blue Jays baseball on Sportsnet. Jays a game under 500, 3-4. They open a series with the Astros tomorrow. Coverage starts at 3:30 on Sportsnet 360, 1 and Pacific.
I think Silverberg has been good in this game. He sets up Brian Allen, the shot from the point. Off a skate in front. Looks like it hit Ryan Stanton on the outside of the skate and up and over the glass.
All right, we got a timeout, Vancouver here. And this isn't after an icing. This is to do with the start to the period, I guarantee you. As John Tortorella gathers his team for a brief one-way chat.
Was it the 4 icings?
Sure that played a part in it. Careless plays of the puck in their own zone as well, and he'll try to talk about momentum. Like to turn it in this one and improve on that 28th ranked stat in goals per game that his team has put up this year.
And you can see Anaheim, as I was mentioning, the Bruce Boudreau coach team, right up near the top.
Getzlaf waved out of this face-off. Perry will move in to take it against Ryan Kesler. Ducks only had 1 shot in the period, but the puck has pretty much spent the entire first 3.5 minutes on the Canucks side of center ice. Here's Bolesky, pass for Getzlaf. Did well to move in with control. Now Bolesky tries a shot that went off Edler and wide of the goal. Edler checking to make sure his stick didn't break. Center pass by Perry, taken away by the Canucks, and now the puck is tipped over to Kesler. Canucks are 3-on-2 if they hurry. 4-on-3 as well, as Higgins is the trailer. Kesler hangs onto the puck, tries a shot, and that hurt. Spiza down in a heap. Kesler gets the puck again. Sharp angle bid from Higgins. Might have hit the goaltender in the mask. Pass back to Bieksa at the right point. He dumps the puck around, trying to find Higgins. Spiza's back on his feet and able to make a play to the side. Hansen stepped up and nailed Robida as he dumped the puck out of his own zone. There's Spiza after the shot block being checked out of the Anaheim bench. Loose puck at the Vancouver line. Kesler plays it forward. Lindholm sends it the other way, and here's Matthew Perreault in front for Solani, working on Hamhuis, and his shot went off the stick of the Vancouver defenseman and wide. Puck sent out by Kesler. Race for it. David Booth trying to negate the icing and can't quite do it. They say Lindholm had him by a hair, and the face-off will come down the ice.
Lucas Spiza didn't play last night in Edmonton, and you can see they've got the ice bag already, and I don't know whether he's going to stay on the bench or not. The shot by Kesler, he tries to get it through, and Spiza takes it off the inside of the knee, it looks like. Lindholm did have the angle on David Booth, although Booth was on the back end.
As we're watching that replay, Lucas Spiza gone for at least the moment. And the Ducks down at 5 defensemen. Pass in front, Solani again. Tried to find Maroon. Hamhuis sprawled to break up the pass, and the puck winds up finding its way to Eddie Lack, who covers for the whistle.
Well, again, the Ducks with the cute little plays in front, and Dan Hamhuis in desperation able to come back, dives, makes the play as Teemu Solani was feeding it in front. Kevin Bieksa gets caught flat-footed. Dan Hamhuis with a good defensive play.
Weber and Stanton come out on defense as those two take a rest.
Kevin Bieksa played over 9 minutes in that first period.
Up to about 11 now. Ducks trying to hem the Canucks in again. Stanton gets the puck to the line and past Beauchamp. The Booth's pass is tipped and intercepted, and back comes Kyle Palmieri. Wide on Weber, who's able to knock the puck away, but Palmieri gets it back. Behind the net to Winnick. Pass onto the right side. Beauchemin in front, deflected by Bonino out of midair, stopped by Lack, and again he grabs the puck for the whistle. Pretty sure Bonino made contact with that shot and changed direction, and Lack had to make a nice stop.
Again, Eddie Lack just in good position as the Ducks are able to work the puck down low, get control, and get it back to the point. David Booth, too late to get there, deflected right in front of Eddie Lack, but because he is in position, able to make the save and hang on.
Koivu loses the face-off to Matthias, but the Canucks overskate the puck. Matthias able to come over and knock it away, but Vancouver can't get it out. Another opportunity here, and Sestito headmans the puck to Burrows. He drops for Matthias. Moving it on Brian Allen. Matthias stops, centers, and the puck ricocheted off Burrows and wide of the goal. Garrison in around for Alex Burrows. Working on Ben Lovejoy. Sestito takes the pass, shielding the puck from Koivu. Sestito goes down. Koivu winds up with the puck and finds Cogliano. Drop pass, Silverberg with a shot, and snapping up the left hand is Eddie Lack to make the glove save. Just past 6 minutes into the second, still 1-0 Anaheim, live on Sportsnet.
13th is Fan Appreciation Night. Your chance to join the Canucks and your fellow fans in honoring former player and coach Pat Quinn. He's added to the Ring of Honor. This incredible night will feature special guests, giveaways, and amazing prizes for some lucky fans. It could be you. Party on the Plaza kicks off at 4, puck drop at 6. Tickets available now, so visit Canucks.com/tickets to buy yours today.
Boy, what a time in franchise history in terms of
Turning around.
fortunes turning around.
Real
Yeah.
turnaround. Those 100-point seasons.
Yeah.
Same as he had in Toronto. When Pat Quinn was in Toronto, the Leafs were always that 100-point team, and then with Vancouver, the same thing.
Because some of the trades he engineered that turned the fortunes around. Kirk McLean from New Jersey. Of course, the draft of Pavel Bure when nobody thought he was eligible. Deadline deal with St. Louis. Chris Higgins tries a shot, puck off the stick and out of play, and there'll be a face-off in the Anaheim zone.
If you want one tire that can handle it all, forget all seasons. You need Nokian's WRG3 all-weather tire, imported to Canada by Cal Tire.
I guess if we're going to talk about those deals, we should mention Marcus Naslund for Alex Stoyanov.
Yes. Well, to say the St. Louis deal, too. I mean, Jeff Courtnall, Sergio Momesso.
Marcus Naslund, who came from Pittsburgh in that deal, one of 4 numbers. Here's Yannick Weber centering the puck. Daniel Sedin was being tied up by Lindholm. Perreault can't move it out past Henrik Sedin. Jensen in support, down the boards, picked off by Lovejoy, who goes glassing out. And Weber will have to chase back for the puck. Henrik Sedin delays before finding Yannick Weber. He moves in over the Anaheim line, checked as he tried to get a shot away. Then he and Lovejoy got the gloves up on each other. Dangerous pass in front by Maroon, but he got it through to Lindholm, who now settles play in his own zone. Canucks with just 1 shot in the period and only 7 in the hockey game. As we're about 7.5 minutes in, and yet another icing call against the Canucks brings a face-off down the ice. We have UEFA Champions League soccer to tell you about tomorrow at 11:30 right here on Sportsnet. Chelsea and Paris Saint-Germain. And at the same time on Sportsnet World, catch Borussia Dortmund against Real Madrid.
Did you have to ask her for the pronunciation on that one?
I did. I got, in fact, double team help. Irf and Carolyn Cameron coming to my aid. It's the old Don Taylor trick. If you're not sure, say it quickly and confidently. Here's Daniel Winnick. Henrik Sedin moves to check him. Puck squirts free to Jason Garrison, and he sends it ahead to Nicholas Jensen. Jensen stood up by Spiza, who's back into the game after a brief visit to the Anaheim dressing room. Puck loose in front. Richardson can't catch up, but Garrison holds the line of the right point. Sends a shot wide of the goal. Chopping at the puck is Robidas. Can't get it by Hamhuis, but Robidas has another chance, and this time he'll carry the puck forward and shovel it to an open wing. Garrison plays it away from Palmieri, and here's Hamhuis in on the left wing. High slot. Burrows with a shot. He wristed it wide. Still just one shot on goal for the Canucks. See if they can manufacture one here. Kassian turning to get away from Spiza. Pass for Richardson. Back to Hamhuis. Garrison one-timer blocked by Palmieri. Here's Hamhuis sending one towards the goal. Backhanded on net, and the net knocked off after Burrows blindly put that one on goal, and now everybody's going to join this skirmish on the end boards as Richardson was given a rough ride in behind the Anaheim goal.
Stefan Robidas, remember from the first period, he and Brad Richardson.
Burrows back to the net. Got a shot through, it looked like, on the rebound chance, and then all heck broke loose.
Shot comes through. Alex Burrows just tries to put it through his legs. And John Gibson gets in front of it. You can see Burrows just tries to slide it through, and there's Brad Richardson hacking away at that rebound, trying to get it to go. Lucas Spiza, puck was loose just for a second. Alex Burrows gets in front, looking for the screen. Shot gets knocked down, and Alex Burrows can't get much on it when he tries to drag it through his feet.
Coincidental minors to Richardson and Nick Bonino for their work after the whistle. And it'll be 4 offside for the next couple of minutes. Roughing minors each way. Sedin's out in the 4-on-4. Ducks counter up front with Cogliano and Koivu, and here's Lindholm rushing the puck in. Sends it rink wide for Cogliano. He tries a shot, missed the net. Puck ricochets back to Lindholm. Other side, one-timer by Beauchemin, and a glove save by Eddie Lack on that long test.
65-footer by Francois Beauchemin with nobody in front. Eddie Lack made that one look easy. Pass comes across one of the veterans on this team now, Francois Beauchemin, and that skipped. Whoa, that's a good save. That one skipped at the last second. Jose Reyes would have been proud of that one.
Tracked the puck. I was wondering why he looked a little surprised as it wound up in his glove. There's your answer. Not surprised, but maybe just a little relieved. Minute and a half to go in the 4-on-4. Sean Mathias takes a lead pass. Moves in on Spiza. Now Hamhuis moves in deep. Silverberg takes the puck away from him and starts out for Anaheim. Pass to Robidas, trying to send the puck through. Hamhuis takes it away, and he's back in on the right wing. Puts the puck in front. Still has it. Knocked away. Might have taken a slash. Play goes on. Jensen checked by Spiza, but able to come out with the puck. Back to the blue line. Garrison with a long shot. That didn't get through after it was deflected off the stick of Perreault, and the Ducks send the puck out. Silverberg 2-on-2 with Perreault. Moving in on Edler. Forces him to the side. Silverberg keeps on the puck, however. In deep for Perreault, checked by Jason Garrison. Here's Kessler. Edler at the blue line. Long wrist shot. Kessler tried to tip it. That went well wide. Puck comes back to Hansen. He'll put one on goal, and Gibson was saved. Hasn't been tested much in this period, but he had to be sharp there. His Ducks still protecting a 1-0 lead.
Jets get possession. Housley with the puck. Put it to the boards. It's passed down in the corner. Centered. They score!
Solani with 42 goals in 77 career games against the Vancouver Canucks, guys, and there was number 1 versus Vancouver.
And you saw Kirk McLean there. He should have stacked the pads. He could have come across a la Gump Worsley, stacked the pads, and he would have got that. Teemu Selanne.
I don't think anybody relies on hindsight more than you do.
Did you know Teemu Selanne has a twin brother?
No.
Yes, he does. I'll tell you that story in a minute.
Gives everybody time to get the PVR
Yes,
score.
that's right.
Here's Koivu. Burrows sprawl. Koivu still with the puck. Cogliano from the corner. Intercepting is Richardson, and he carries to center and tips the puck into the Anaheim zone. Under 9 minutes to go in the second. Matt Bolesky for Anaheim. Puck knocked away from him. The exit hooks it the other way. Kassian trying to pick it up. Played back by Allen. And that's an icing call against Anaheim.
Okay, I'm doing a Winnipeg game way back when, Teemu's first year.
Yeah.
Go to the morning skate, and there's Teemu with the goalie stuff on. I can't believe it. He's in the middle of getting 76 goals as a rookie, and he's out there taking shots.
Oh, but was he?
No, he wasn't. I go down to the dressing room after. There he is. His twin brother is a goalie, was over visiting, and he was the guy taking shots. So now you know.
Part of me wants to say Balderdash.
No. You could Google that.
You sold it beautifully, and I'm gonna believe you. It's a good story.
Thank you. Yes, it was.
Here's Corey Perry. Canucks break that up. Henrik Sedin drops the puck back for Dan Hamhuis. Daniel Sedin couldn't glove that one down, and the puck is played back into Vancouver territory. Eight minutes to go in the second. Long pass ahead for Henrik Sedin. He's at the end of his shift here. Ducks stretch it ahead to Maroon. He and Weber engage in the corner to the right of Eddie Lack. Solani trying to come out from behind the net. Now Weber and Maroon are back at it. Solani gets to the puck. Perreault backhands one wide. Solani hustles to the puck on the near side. Again, it's Weber stepping into Maroon, and Stanton trying to get the puck out. Had it blocked, but he gets another chance and finds Jannik Hansen. Hansen's pass hits Solani, but deflects to Stanton, who's able to backhand the puck into the Anaheim end. Robida back, and Spiza sends the puck ahead to Perreault. Winnick takes his pass. Wrist a long one in. Lack steers that to the corner. 7 minutes to go in the second. 1-0 Anaheim. Kevin Bieksa out for another shift. Can't get the puck past Lindholm. Hansen, though, takes the man, and the Canucks come up with the puck. Kessler on to the left wing. Higgins with a shot. That deflected towards the front. Played away by Winnick. Stolen back by Kessler. 2 Ducks are on him. And the puck is sent across for Kyle Palmieri. Palmieri on the right wing. Drop pass, Bonino. Drags and tries to put one on goal. Blocked by Bieksa. Puck winds up on the near side. Cogliano. Couldn't get it by Alex Edler, who takes a look, sends one to center, knocked down by Beauchemin. Here comes Kessler in on the left side. Delays before sending one wide of the goal. And what looked like a potential promising rush didn't wind up in a chance on net. End of a shift for Kessler. Might have been a little tired.
End of a long shift for Ryan Kessler.
Here's another chance for the Canucks to break in. Mathias on the right wing. Takes it wide. Drags it in front. It's loose in the crease. And then the net knocked off as Booth was steered into the goal by Hampus Lindholm. Sestito, a couple of words after the whistle with Francois Beauchemin.
Well, Sean Mathias hasn't done this enough. Here he's on the backhand, takes it to the net. Lots of traffic, and the puck's there. David Booth gets run in after the puck is cleared from danger. Goes around Beauchemin, creates a good scoring chance. Dan Hamhuis there. Puck just couldn't get directed at the net.
Net put back in place. Face off in the Anaheim zone. Exactly 6 minutes to go in the second. Canucks still looking to get to double digits in shots. They're stuck on 9-3 in the period. Anaheim's had 17, 6 of them here in the second. There's an attempt by Weber that whistles wide, and the puck ricochets off the corner boards and all the way down. Stanton having trouble and loses the puck to Cogliano. Koivu tries to get around for Cogliano, turning to get away from Weber. Cogliano still with the puck, banks it back. Long shot by Lovejoy. That was blocked by Richardson. Kassian had his pass blocked, and now Silverberg takes control and dumps the puck in behind the Vancouver goal. Kassian at center. Pass to Weber, who's got room on the right wing. Perry quickly closed the gap over and came away with the puck. Lovejoy ahead for Bolesky, and the puck escapes the zone to center. Edler lifts it back in. Canucks are offside here, and they'll blow it down with the Canuck bench door inside the blue line, and Vancouver was on a change. It's been a slow period for that man's team. They're down a goal.
This day in Canucks history, 2006. Look who it is. Alex Ahl with some help from Eric Weinrich in these shots. He's going to make some saves against the Flames in a game that goes to overtime, won by Ed Jovanovski. 3-2 win for Vancouver. There's Alex. Of course, he'll be joining me along with Ian McIntyre in the second intermission. We'll talk about Eddie Lack, Ryan Kesler, and who's the best team in California.
That's a tough one. Mika Kiprasov in net in Calgary. Still Terry Ramel now.
Here's Hansen in, centering for Higgins, and the pass never got through. It was blocked by Robida. Hansen has the puck again. Makes a move to the blue line. Tips it to Bieksa. Cross, Kesler. Regathers the puck. Now it's thrown in front. Intercepting is Getzlaf, who makes a quick pivot behind the goal and backhands the puck to center. Higgins back in on the left wing. Plays a cross corner dump. Getzlaf bumped by Hansen, but able to work the puck free to Robida, and he backhands it out. There's a puck off the stick of Daniel Sedin and into the seats. Whistle blows, and just over 4 minutes to go in the second period.
Confidence is such a fragile thing, and the Canucks just not scoring goals. No confidence. Here's Jannik Hansen. Now it's 2-on-1. The defenseman stays in the middle. You can't pass that puck. Where's it going to go? Take the shot. Shot and a rebound. It's the only way the puck's going to get over there anyway, and you might score yourself.
Sedin line stays out. Jensen tips the puck to the corner. Beauchemin there. Couldn't get it by Daniel Sedin. Here's Jensen again. Trying to go back to Garrison. That was blocked. Jensen keeps after the puck. Now it's Henrik Sedin, but knocked down by Maroon, and out comes Perreault. Under 4 minutes to go in the second. Garrison around for Henrik. He tips the puck, and the Canucks are 2-on-1. Daniel with Jensen. Daniel for Jensen, and again the pass broken up. And my colleague is shaking his head.
Yes, I am. And that's Daniel Sedin. And it shows how fragile his confidence is.
Well, that was almost... Oh, no, it's okay. Sestito wasn't replacing Jensen. He was replacing... Booth did that. Anyway, you know what I'm saying. It was a sloppy-looking change. Play goes on. Puck in the Vancouver zone. Mathias, pressured by Palmieri. And Anaheim gets the puck. Lovejoy with a long shot. Scores! Don't know if it was tipped, but it got through Eddie Lack. And the Ducks, with just under 3 minutes to go in the second, double their lead.
Well, the shot from Lovejoy, and Kyle Palmieri is skating through the crease. I think he might have got it, and that would be his 14th. We talked about this Ducks team, and it's sure Perry and Getzlaf, but then they have guys like Palmieri, Bonino. I think it is tipped by Palmieri, and it just squeaks through Eddie Lack. Lovejoy with the long wrist shot, just get it through, and Palmieri does get his stick on it as Sean Mathias can't get to him in time. Mathias has got him there, and he lets Palmieri get in front of him, get body position, and by the time he gets back in position, Palmieri's tipped it in.
So 2-0 Anaheim. The goal coming at 17:03. Should be Palmieri from Lovejoy and Allen. Kassian under pressure. Plays the puck to the side. Koivu gets it. Now Cogliano ahead for Silverberg out of his reach. Right through to Lack, who dumps the puck around for Edler. He reverses to Kevin Bieksa. Silverberg steals the puck back. Puts one in front, tipped away by Edler. Lovejoy moves down from the point. Here's Koivu trying to center, but went off the toe of his stick and onto the near boards. Kassian. Around for Edler. Long pass ahead. Richardson leaves for Kassian. Moving in on Spiza. Shot attempt blocked. Kassian after the puck again. It comes back to Bieksa. Richardson in the corner. Pass back. Handhughes with a shot. Missed the net. Richardson gets the puck again on the right wing. Burrows has come on to join Kassian and Richardson. Kassian takes his pass on the right side. Burrows for Richardson, who is on the ice. Lost his footing. Ducks can't clear. That took a Vancouver hop off the glass. Here's a chance for Garrison. In front. Deflected, I think, by Richardson. Stopped by the goaltender Gibson. 10th shot of the hockey game for Vancouver. Still trailing 2-0. Hamhuis pressures from the right point and holds the puck in. Maroon takes it away. Patrick Maroon trying to get away from Burrows. And able to tip the puck past Hamhuis and then chip it down to the Vancouver blue line. Perreault involved at center. Now Robidas paired off at the side with Zach Kassian. They're challenging each other at the Anaheim blue line. Linesman comes in to separate. Just over a minute to go in the second. A little frustration erupting. Well, maybe not erupting, but bubbling over a bit for the Canucks.
This period brought to you by McCain's new 4-meat Rising Crust Pizza. McCain, it's all good.
Well, I think this goes back to the first period. Robidas and Brad Richardson, and you can see Perreault with the hack, and Kassian goes right to Robidas, and Perreault and Dan Hamhuis end up being the ones penalized.
So 4-on-4 as Hamhuis and Perreault head off. And we move into the final minute of the second period. Ducks scored one in the first shorthanded. Palmieri moments ago here in the second. Here's Ryan Kesler. Hoping Hansen can get to that puck. Lindholm there first. One handed out by Getzlaf. Here's Perry. Knocked away by Kevin Bieksa. Ryan Kesler starts from behind his net. Room to move, so he'll carry in. Lead for Kevin Bieksa. Tried to tip the puck down the boards. Ducks take it away. Send it ahead for Cogliano, who's going to win the race. So Eddie Lack comes out to play the puck. Final 10 seconds of the second. They never did credit the Canucks with that 10th shot, so they're stuck on 9. And hearing it a little bit here after a bit of a dispirited second period. Winnick got the goal in the first, and Palmieri doubled the lead here in the second. Eddie Lack beaten twice on 18 shots. Canucks credited with just 9 on John Gibson. We'll hear more from the panel in our second intermission. An update as well from Don and Gary. Through 2 and the Ducks leading by 2.
Pizza. Daniel Winnick opened the scoring in this one. Shorthanded goal, unassisted after the Henrik Sedin turnover in the first. Just one goal to speak of in the second. Came from the visitors. It was a tip and a screen by Kyle Palmieri. Canucks with just 9 shots in this hockey game.
Canucks came back Saturday. They only had half the deficit they face in this one when they beat the Kings. It'll be 4-on-4 to start the third. Dan Hamhuis and Matthew Perreault have just under a minute to serve in their coincidental minors.
And it is an advantage when you're trailing playing 4-on-4. More ice to play with, you can take some chances.
Sedin, Stark, Garrison, and Stanton on defense. Ducks with Cogliano and Koivu, Beauchemin, and Lindholm. François Beauchemin banks the puck through center and down into the Vancouver zone. Ryan Stanton goes back. Now Garrison, right up the middle. Wrist shot attempt blocked, and here we go. Two-man breakaway. Andrew Cogliano in on Eddie Lack. Stopped by the blocker. And it stays 2-0 as Cogliano's 0 for 2 on breakaways. Canucks work the puck into the Anaheim zone. Alex Edler can't hold it in. Now the Canucks have to tag up as the puck is sent ahead. Here's Getzlaf moving in. Drops for Perry. Fakes the shot. Cuts in front. That one was blocked by Edler. Now Getzlaf on an attempt. Stopped by Eddie Lack. Getzlaf again. And that went off the side of the goal. Kessler takes that hard pass off his skate. Teams are back to full strength. Just over a minute into the third. And another steal. Getzlaf moves in. Drop pass. Perry to the side. Bolesky scores. 3-0 Anaheim. And just like the second, the Canucks came out in the third, didn't look ready to play.
Breakaway right away. Jason Garrison, remember what I was saying about last man. And this one, a pass up the middle for the turnover right away. There's a pass up the middle, wrong guy, Ryan Getzlaf. Drop pass to Corey Perry, and he finds Bolesky. And at this time, Corey Perry's 20 feet out right in the middle. If you're the goaltender, what do you got to do? Well, you got to go to Corey Perry, who slides it across to Bolesky, and he's wide open, and he has the whole net.
Bolesky's 7th. Comes a minute 20 into the third. Ducks with a goal in each period. And maybe tonight is the night the inevitable will finally occur. Canucks have been barely mathematically alive for ages now. Their fate all but sealed, but staved off what again has been inevitable until perhaps tonight, with Anaheim opening up a substantial lead here at Rogers Arena. Here's David Booth. Stopped by Gibson.
That's off his mask. And
strap might have popped on the shot that hit him up high. 10th shot of the game for the Canucks. And he might need a little
he's going to check
repair.
the mask. Canucks have missed the net 17 times. They only had 9 shots on goal. Missed the net 17 times. This time, David Booth rides up the stick and catches Gibson right in the face.
Now with your mask,
that
they did a feature on last week. Now that would have been stitches probably?
Oh yes, that would have been a pressure cut right above the eye. Lucas Biza was tipping that one.
Canucks lose the puck at the Anaheim blue line again. Solani rushes up ice. Lovejoy moves down to hold the puck in. Sent ahead by Edler to Henrik Sedin. Pass to Bieksa and ahead to Burrows, who skates here with the Twins. Daniel did well to poke that puck through, tried to shovel it to his brother, but it's broken up and Solani comes back to center. Plays the puck gently behind the Vancouver goal. Lack shoots it around for Henrik Sedin, who gathers the puck in the corner and starts out. Henrik to the Anaheim line. Backhands the puck in. Jensen out there. Ducks take the puck away, and Silverberg passes it center for Cogliano. Fell down as he got to the Vancouver blue line, but he keeps after the puck and has it on the left wing. Pass back for Lindholm out of his reach, and the puck slides down into the Anaheim zone. So a line of Kessler between Jensen and Hansen. After Burrows came out with the Twins, we'll see where Chris Higgins winds up in this. As Koivu dishes off to Beauchemin. Shot went off the stick of Ryan Kessler. Jannik Hansen through neutral ice. Moves in on Lindholm, bumps in the corner. Ducks get the puck around for Getzlaf. He shifts to the middle, takes a slash from Kessler. Pass blocked, and the puck deflects back in behind the Anaheim goal. Edler breaks up that attempted foray through center. Robida around for Beauchemin. Ahead to Bolesky, quickly to Getzlaf, in with Perry. Ryan Getzlaf tried to swing one on goal. whiffed on it. The exit chops the puck around for Cassie, who's on a line with Matthias and Higgins. There's a nice pass to Edler, who's in on the left wing, offside. Promising looking rush, but blown down by Brad Lazarowicz. We'll check in with Murph.
John, shop at Safeway today. Watch future Sportsnet telecasts, and you could win a week of unlimited luxury at Dreams Resorts and Spas, courtesy of redtag.ca.
Chris Higgins just half a step across the blue line on that play. Brad Lazarowicz with the right call. Higgins didn't like it too much, but he definitely was offside.
Here's Richardson, sharp angle shot off the side of the net. Sestito gets the puck to the blue line, and Richardson tipped that Weber shot. It just went wide. Richardson with Booth and Sestito. Holds the puck in. High slot. Wrist shot. Sailed over top of the net. Richardson gets it again, and the sharp angle bid stopped by goaltender Gibson. Palmieri after that puck. Taken away by Ryan Stanton. Dangerous move. There to help him out was Burrows, but the puck held in by Lovejoy. Daniel Winnick, who opened the scoring in this game shorthanded in the first. Trying to set the tone for what's been a sloppy effort by the home team. Weber couldn't get it by Brian Allen, but Burrows hooks the puck to Henrik Sedin. Daniel over the boards to join this rush. Henrik in front, pass tipped away by Winnick, intended for Burrows. Handhughes at the left point, wrist one in front, gloved down by Daniel Winnick, and he goes glassing out. Handhughes stops to get away from Solani and passes up to Daniel Sedin. Plays the puck in, goes after it himself, tips it to Henrik in the corner. Behind the net to Jensen, who's come on to replace Burrows. Jensen's pass blocks. Lindholm winds up with the puck. And he's able to play it out to center, out of the reach of Perreault. Garrison sends the puck the other way. Beauchemin up to Maroon, checked by Daniel Sedin. Now Jensen. In over the line, shot attempt off his stick and over the glass for a whistle. Murph.
Well, to celebrate the launch of new Naturally Sweetened Pepsi Next, Pepsi wants to give you the opportunity to nominate someone who you know is naturally sweet. And they can win a Canucks VIP experience, including 4 naturally sweet seats. Enter now at Canucks.com/Pepsi Next.
I think Murph's looking in a mirror right now. Who's the sweetest of them all?
Yes. Pictures of Marlowe.
Ducks win a face-off in their own zone. Matthias, good work to hold the puck in. Booth crunched in the corner by Robidoux. Koivu around for Cogliano, couldn't get it by Edler. Spiza follows up and gets the puck out. Koivu into the middle, here's Cogliano. In front, Silverberg shoots up high. Booth battling for the puck, gives it away to Koivu. Blue line pass, Lovejoy to Allen, stopped by Eddie Lack. Brian Allen looking to end a goal drought that's up to 125 games. Why not? Spiza ended a long one last time here at Rogers Arena. Here's Cassian back. Garrison with a shot. Loose in front, and Lovejoy is able to play the puck to Cogliano, who gets it out. Cassian moves back in as David Booth had vacated the zone. Passing to the blue line. Handhughes other side. Garrison with a shot deflected by Nicholas Jensen, but I think it hit a skate before it got through to the goaltender. Garrison again launches that one over top of the goal. Canucks adding to their missed shots.
Oh, look out.
And that puck whistles into the Anaheim bench. Just past 7 minutes into the third. Ducks with another goal here in the period and lead by 3.
It's hard for a goaltender at 20 years old. First National Hockey League game. John Gibson getting lots of help from his team. 16 blocked shots after 2 periods. The Canucks have helped him out too. 17 missed shots after 2 periods, and the Canucks only directed 9 that might have gone in after 2 periods, and John Gibson making the most of his first National Hockey League start.
7 minutes, 10 seconds into the third period. Here's a chance for Bieksa, stopped by Gibson. Beauchemin there for the rebound, and the Ducks get the puck out. Edler takes it away from Getzlaf. Up the right wing. Kessler knocked off the puck. Edler passes into his own zone for Kevin Bieksa. Over to Edler. Up the right wing for Jannik Hansen. He couldn't catch up with that one, but Kessler steals the puck at the blue line. Finds Hansen in front. Jensen sprawling as Gibson to make the save. Can't cover, but Beauchemin plays the puck to the corner. Face first, Snow Angel pads out, and he stopped Nicholas Jensen.
That's his best save of the game.
Penalty coming up here to Bieksa. Oh, pardon me. It was Bieksa's stick that was slashed by Bolesky. And so it's Matt Bolesky heading off. And a Vancouver power play upcoming.
And Ryan Kessler throws it across, and Nicholas Jensen shoots it back the other way. Gibson slides across and gets hit with that shot. Nick Jensen again with a good scoring chance, and Matt Bolesky chops down on Kevin Bieksa's stick, gets a slashing crack.
Kessler grabbing a new stick at the bench. He just finished a shift, so he's trying to buy a little time before the power play starts. And will take his time before settling in for this face-off against Nick Bonino. Wins it cleanly and right between Edler and Bieksa and down in the Vancouver zone. Henrik Sedin takes a pass from Edler. Cross for Bieksa. Finds Kessler, shifts to the middle, loses the puck, and Bonino dumps it down the ice. Edler rushes to center and passes to Kessler. This time he shoots the puck around. Henrik Sedin missed it. Daniel Sedin gloves it down and backhands the puck to Bieksa. Daniel again under pressure, finds Henrik in the corner. Bieksa to Henrik Sedin. Goal line feed. Kessler back to Henrik. Daniel, one-timer off the heel of his stick, and Silverberg clears the puck out. Kessler with a quick up. Henrik Sedin steps in on the left wing through for Daniel, who didn't make contact, but the goaltender Gibson still had to make a sharp left pad save. Puck cleared, under a minute to go in the power play. 11 minutes left, third period. Anaheim leading 3-0. Looking to sweep the season series. Canucks 0-3-1 against the Ducks. Jensen rushes in, drags in front, stopped by Gibson. Loose puck at the side. Lovejoy gets it, shoots it around, past Weber and out to center. Garrison has to track the puck in his own zone with Winnick in pursuit. He leaves for Yannick Weber. Under 30 seconds to go on the man advantage. Garrison wrists the puck in from center ice. Perry drops back to Lovejoy, and he's able to ring it around and down.
15.
Canucks with time to at least get the puck up the ice here with an extra man out there. But they dumped it back deep. But here comes Bolesky back onto the ice. So the Canucks 0 for 3 on the power play, and hearing it from the hometown fans. Booth is in on the left wing. Puts one in front. Kassian couldn't make contact, going to the front. Booth from behind the goal. Kassian takes possession, feeds back. Hamhuis moves to the middle. Pass to Zach Kassian. Robida's on him. Richardson comes in to help out. Kassian feeds back to Hamhuis. Long shot blocked by Perry. Getzlaf gets the puck. Perry trying to poke it out, and it winds up in the Anaheim bench. With 9.5 minutes to go in the third, still 3-0 Anaheim. The tail end of that last power play as the Canucks struggled to get out of their own zone. Still trail 3-0. 9.5 to go in the third. Ducks play the puck into the Vancouver zone. Solani behind the goal. Falls down under the check of Yannick Weber, who's able to dispossess him of the puck. I learned that one from Peter Shad.
Yeah.
I was listening to the Whitecaps game. Kind of liked it. Maroon to the blue line, Lovejoy. Centering pass intercepted by Higgins. And puck played out to center, wristed back in by Allen. Here's Lindholm. And he gets the puck again inside his own line. How many seconds left in this one, John?
Oh, man. 510.
Never gets old. Eddie Lack takes the whistle. There'll be a face-off of the Vancouver zone.
If you want one tire that can handle it all, forget all seasons. You need Nokian's WRG3 all-weather tire, imported to Canada by Cal Tire.
Well, you and I have to pick the stars in this one.
We do. I like Cogliano.
Yeah,
he hasn't been on the score sheet.
I like Cogliano. Winnick has been good.
Yeah.
And Winnick has been very good. Perry and Getzlaf didn't do much in the first two periods, and then had a couple of real good shifts to start the third.
Set up the Bolesky goal that made it 3-0 here in the third.
Haven't played that much. They're 5 minutes under their usual time.
Here's Edler rushing the puck in. Wrist shot off the stick of Boschman wide of the goal. Jensen trying to come up with the puck. Winds up on the stick of Winnick, who backhands it down the ice. And this will be an icing call. Bringing the face-off back into the Anaheim zone. Raptors with some off-court stuff going on today, but they're back on the court Wednesday against the 76ers. You can catch it on Sportsnet 1. 4 o'clock, BMO Raptors basketball on Sportsnet.
You think they'll want Mayor Rob Ford to come to their playoff games? Bruce Boudreau's calling his timeout after that icing. John Tortorella called his earlier in the game to try and rally the troops early in the second period after they had 4 or 5 icings.
Nothing to be said, just give him a 30-second breather here before the drop of the puck in the Anaheim zone. Just under 8 minutes to go. And then they can officially, John Tortorella, the rest of the team, start thinking about next year, whatever that's going to look like. And
yes,
a lot of things to be decided there. I know you'll have plenty to say about it on the season finale.
Yes, the
wrap-up show on Monday night.
A review of the season.
Dan Hamhuis. And what a tale of 2 seasons it's been for him in terms of getting to bring home a gold medal from Sochi. And then being part of this disappointing season for his NHL team. Cogliano forces the puck into the Vancouver zone. Burrows under pressure from Koivu. Puck comes to Jason Garrison, who gets it ahead to Daniel Sedin, quickly to center, intended for Henrik, but out of his reach, and Robida sends the puck the other way. Under 7 minutes to go as Silverberg plays the puck in and heads to the bench. Kevin Bieksa rushes up, flips the puck to the corner. David Booth gives chase on Brian Allen. 3 Canuck forwards in after the puck, but Corey Perry just ices it. And there'll be another face-off in the Anaheim zone. 6.5 minutes to go in this one. Don Taylor coming up after the game, and here he is with a preview.
Just a reminder that after the Ducks and the Canucks, as always, Gary Volk and I will have a full post-game show. Back we go now to Rogers Arena.
Is Don one of the 36 play-by-play guys you've worked with?
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Don and I did a couple of exhibition games together.
Here's David Booth passing to Zach Cassian. Drops for Bieksa. One-timer. Loose in front. And cleared down to the Vancouver blue line. Alex Edler, cross for Bieksa, had to take it on the counter. Now circles back and passes to Edler once more. Edler was knocked down, got back up to fish for the puck, for the Ducks have it. Perreault to Solani. Not many shifts left for him in this building. Solani couldn't get anything done on that rush. But you know he'd like to make his mark on this hockey game. In his final appearance at Rogers Arena. Pokes the puck forward, tries to go after it, broken up by Brad Richardson. Puck hit the open door of the Vancouver bench. Now it's played forward, and Beauchemin sends it the other way to Solani. Stanton tied him up, and Yannick Hansen has the puck across to Yannick Weber. Sean Mathias one-hands the puck into the Anaheim zone. Brian Allen goes back. Palmieri around for Bonino, out of his reach. Stanton plays the puck in behind the goal. Sestino is after it, and that one deflected to the side of the goal. Gibson grabs the puck. Under 5 minutes to go in his NHL debut, John Gibson's team leads 3-0. Game summary brought to you by The Brick. Nobody beats The Brick for furniture, mattresses, appliances, and big screen TVs.
Ducks had a mission to protect their goaltender. They've done a nice job. After losing 2 in a row, they've come back, and Corey Perry with an assist keeps it going. He and Getzlaff. Not a great game for them, but they seem to be able to turn it on when they want.
2 points a game for Perry against the Canucks this season. I can't believe the crew. That's Jinx City, that top one. Gibson in his first game. Heartless. Here's Nick Bonino for Anaheim. Pass to Kyle Palmieri, slap shot, blocked by Stanton. Sestito passed back for Stanton, who helps the puck along for Yannick Weber. Palmieri taken down by Hansen at center. Gibson thought there was going to be a penalty. He started ahead to the bench. Play goes on. Bonino on to the left wing. Silverberg fell down as he tried to make a move off the boards. Jensen gets the puck ahead to Ryan Kessler. He pokes it past Beauchemin, moves in on Robida. Kessler, strong move to the corner. Now Koivu over to check him. Han Hughes pokes the puck behind the goal. Beauchemin there to take it away. Gets to the blue line and out. 4 minutes left. And the Ducks comfortably ahead 3-0. Long pass to Cogliano. And he slides the puck in behind the Vancouver goal. Ducks working to the blue line. Lovejoy, left point, Spiza. And again sends the puck deep before it made its way around to Henrik Sedin. Up for Higgins. Burrows finds Henrik. Shoots up high. With the goaltender going down and watching that puck sail over top of the net. Here's Alex Edler. Kevin Bieksa ahead for Henrik Sedin. Puck gets by him and in behind the Anaheim goal. Lovejoy frees it up for Spiza. Ahead for Bolesky, who kicks the puck into the middle, and Perry just chops it out. Icing waved off as Edler goes back. Under 3 minutes to go. Here's Francois Beauchemin. Fans voicing their displeasure, to put it mildly. The general manager and their connoisseurs of this team. As Cassian drives the puck in from center. Frustration abounds in the city of Vancouver in the province of British Columbia. It's such a good run when you think about it.
Well, that's it. Expectations are so high and the product has been so good for so many years.
It's funny that As that shot is tipped out of play by John Gibson. We'll turn our attention to Teemu Selanne, who's probably going to play his last shift here at Rogers Arena when they resume play.
And you wonder about Teemu Selanne. I don't see him as wanting to get involved in the management level, as a lot of Steve Yzerman is the best example because he just signed a 4-year extension in Tampa. But Teemu is such a free spirit. He loves racing cars. He's got 10 cars himself. Did that in Finland.
Do you ever race the PT Cruiser?
No. It's too precious. '89.
It's a good year. Garrison to the Anaheim line, tips the puck to the near side, and again it goes out of play.
Canucks hockey on Sportsnet. Brought to you by Subway. For fresh lunch ideas, nothing beats Subway restaurants. From crisp chopped salads to a variety of irresistible sandwiches, the choice is yours. Subway. Eat fresh.
Finishing my thought earlier, John, in the run of success the Canucks had, and they fall short in 2011 by a game, it almost made it more difficult within this city for fans who had that taste and got so close, and it's tough to get excited for anything short of that for a long time. And then to have this season, it's been like a slap in the face for many people who've been used to nothing but success for so long.
Those 2 first-round exits after going all the way to the finals the year before. And 5 division titles in a row, back-to-back President's trophies.
The frustration hasn't really bubbled over much during the home games until this one here. You heard the reaction to the final minute of play announcement. 30 seconds now to go. And, well, pretty well everybody, despite speaking the opposite, you know, within the organization knew that the jig was probably up. For a team with its season on the line mathematically, Canucks didn't really play like that in this one, and it comes to an end with Anaheim winning at 3-0. They'll grab that puck for the goaltender John Gibson, who gets a shutout in his first career game. And it's official now. The Canucks will not be a playoff team as they lose 3-0 and are mathematically eliminated from postseason contention.
And as you said, John, a very disappointing game for the Vancouver Canucks. Only 9 shots after 2 periods against a goaltender who is playing his first NHL game in a game that meant life and death for the Vancouver Canucks.
That man likely playing his last game at Rogers Arena. Teemu Selanne, part of a winning lineup in this one after sitting out last night in Edmonton. And the Ducks complete the season sweep of the Vancouver Canucks. From their end, it looks like 5-0. For the Canucks, it's 0-4-1 against Anaheim. And just a brutal year for Vancouver against the California teams. They finished 2-9-3 in their series against teams from California. 3-0 the final. Here's Murph.